Hello again everyone, welcome back to another episode of Final Fantasy Brave Exvius. My name is Mars, and today we're going to do the complete guide for the newly enhanced and awakened Blossom Sage Sakura. Now today's video I don't plan on going on too much depth with this unit because she is quite good and she is quite useful. However, there's not a lot to say about her. She is quite simple, especially compared to a lot of other mages out there. So what we want to talk about today is what sort of rotation you might choose to follow if you do decide to use her, as well as which awakenings are worth the investment, because there are certainly some out there that are very, very good and essential to taking advantage of her revitalized kit, and there are some that you want to skip over. Now, I am also going to kind of skip over builds because mages are very, very simple. You just want to have as much magic as possible while having an appropriate amount of killers for whatever boss you're going to take on. So I don't think we have to get too crazy in mage builds because she is flexible. You can do double hand, you can do dual wield. She's great for all that stuff. So I'd rather dive into her kit as well as how you can actually use her and kind of go from there. So the first thing I'd like to highlight is her good awakenings, because I've sorted them by good, situational, and skippable. Now her good awakenings are comprised of 5 different skills that kind of make up her revitalized kit. Her good awakenings, the most essential ones I would say are these 5 right here. Celestial Roar has been improved to add a big thunder imperil, in addition to granting the pentuple cast, which was kind of her signature thing with Celestial Roar. And yeah, that's honestly really amazing by itself. So granting that pentuple cast with a large imperil. Now Quick Final Thunder is her finishing skill. That one is absolutely recommended. One of the important changes that they made to this skill is that the activation frames for this skill are much faster, meaning that it is much easier to finish 5 of them with a chaining pair, or to self-chain and finish with Quick Final Thunder, as I'm sure you saw in her Tour of Destruction. So if you're going to go for Quick Final Thunder, which you should if you're using Blossom Sage Sakura, make sure it's at +2 so that you get the frame adjustment. Now speaking of frame adjustments, Quick Shock Blade was changed into a chaining ability that chains with the Bolting Strike family, and it also imperils Thunder by 80%, and this is going to be basically your bread and butter ability that you use a grand majority of your turns. You use this as your personal chaining skill, and then Quick Final Thunder as your personal finishing skill. So those two go together like ice cream and chocolate sauce, I guess. You gotta have them. Now speaking of stuff you gotta have, Quick Combo was enhanced to make it so that she can triple cast instead of just dual cast her quick skills. Now one of the other important notes about this is that with Quick Combo +1, you can multicast pretty much all of her useful, relevant, quick skills with it. +2 adds the ability to triple cast the skill that comes from the new enhancement point system thing. So if you don't plan on getting that skill, then don't bother with Quick Combo +2. Save the gil, save the awakening crysts. Stick with Quick Combo +1. Now the other one that you want to awaken is Rod Mastery +2, because of course that's going to give her more magic overall, and that's going to benefit all of her abilities as you use her going forward. Now diving into some of the situational abilities, she definitely has a lot. She has a ton of ability awakenings to choose from. I believe it's like 11 in total. These are 4 that I think you could choose to enhance if you felt like they were useful for your party. Defensive Barrier +2 makes it so that you get 30% general damage mitigation on your party for 4 turns. So this is handy if you need backup mitigation. A lot of times you won't, so it may not be an ability you particularly care about. Quick Light Blade is another ability that I don't think a lot of people are going to find much use with. It does chain with the Disorder family, however it is single target, whereas most Disorder chaining abilities hit all opponents. So Quick Light Blade, I don't see it as being super useful. It doesn't synergize with the Pentacast very well because you wouldn't be able to finish the Quick Final Thunders on the Quick Light Blades because of the different chaining frames, and of course she doesn't supply an Imperil for it other than the one that Quick Light Blade supplies. So it's going to do less damage overall than doing her Quick Final Thunder with Quick Shock Blade. Now, Quick Support Combo is an ability that you can choose whether or not is worth investing in. It does enable Sakura to multicast her support skills, and she does have quite a few of those, so some of them can come in handy for you, but it is absolutely optional. One of the ways that I found use with this ability awakening is that you can use Quick Support Combo to use Celestial Roar in addition to a support move on Sakura's first turn, including her elemental resistance stuff, her defense barrier, or any of her other support skills. You can use Celestial Roar in conjunction with them. So that is definitely something to help on your first turn, as well as making the most out of her Celestial Roar turns, but it is optional. Now, there are two different skills that CG Sakura can get with the latent ability awakenings. I personally don't think either of them are super worth the investment. In fact, the passive one I didn't even mention because, you know, it's a lot of enlightenment points to spend on something that you're going to get a very nominal benefit out of. So until they change or revitalize the enlightenment point system, I'm just going to skip all of those abilities personally. Blossoming Thunder is an option, however, if you're looking for a Thunder Graviton Cannon Chainer, and it is a cooldown skill that is available every other turn, and it has a 16 times modifier, so it is pretty good, and it does Imperil Thunder by 100%, so, you know, her best rotation will include it, but I think if we're going to talk practical application with CG Sakura, you're probably not going to get the most use out of it. So I'm personally skipping it. I don't think it's worth it for most people. It's totally up to you if you feel differently. Now, there are a few of CG Sakura's skills that I feel are completely skippable. This would include Quick Dark Blade, which makes it part of the Absolute Zero chaining family, and currently the only person that can chain Dark in Absolute Zero frames is Randy. Now, I know Randy was popular among a fair number of people, but not so popular that you would get a ton of use out of Sakura by chaining with him. So that's one where I'm like, yeah, this is an easy skip. This is one I will never personally use. I have like one stubborn Randy friend in my friends list, and that's about it. So, you know, for me, that one is a pretty easy skip. Blossom Hex +2 is also a pretty easy skip because I don't see it being used very often. Ephemeral Blossom Hex, when it's fully enhanced, is an 8-turn cooldown that does a big heal and MP restore on all allies, buffs all stats by 150% for all allies, and increases the limit burst gauge to all allies. And this is something that's like, yeah, that's nice, but how often are you really going to use it? And that's something where I personally don't think it's worth it. Yeah, so for me, that's kind of a big no thank you. I do also believe it costs limit crystals instead of using MP, so, you know, if you were in a bind and you need some MP, that can do it for you, but in its base form, it can also do the job for you. The increases are very, very nominal. Now, the last skill I would probably skip is Quick Rebel Intention. Quick Rebel Intention is a non-elemental ability, so it doesn't benefit from any of her imperils. It does have the advantage of hitting all targets, but ultimately it doesn't do that much damage. So even if she is able to self-finish it, I'm not that impressed with the total damage, in addition to the inability to take advantage of her new spicy imperils. So for me, Quick Rebel Intention is a pretty easy skip. Now, of course, as with any of these abilities, if you decide that you find a way that you want to integrate them as part of your team, as always, feel free to do so. But for me, these are ones that I feel like are not the most worth it. Now, let's talk a little bit about her rotation. I'm going to show an image of a recommended or suggested rotation that you can run with her. This is what I've run, but I do want to add the, I guess the disclaimer, or the asterisk, that I've seen different opinions, I've seen different claims about CG Sakura's rotation, and because of how rare Sakura is on a friends list, it is very, very difficult to test out all of these things. This rotation is very simple. It's not necessarily the best rotation available, especially because it doesn't include her latent ability chaining skill, which does add more damage to her rotation. This just assumes that you followed the 5 good ability awakenings and nothing else, which I think is what most people are going to go for if they're going to use CG Sakura. And the one other thing that I will disclaim about this is that I've heard some people say that you can finish 2 quick Final Thunders on a single quick shock blade chain. And I've never been able to replicate that myself. I've never ever been able to do it. I've playtested Sakura all week long. I've tried doing it that way. I've tried using her quick Final Thunders in every conceivable combination, and never have I been able to get quick Final Thunder to finish twice on a single quick shock blade chain. So that's something that I do want to say, is that people have said that that's optimal for her rotation, but I've never seen it. I've never been able to replicate it myself, and if I can't do it, I don't really want to put it out there as a recommendation for her rotation. So with all of those disclaimers and such out of the way, the thing that you want to do on turn 1 is use Celestial Roar. This is going to apply that Imperil, and if you have quick support combo +2, you are able to include a support ability with that, whether it's elemental resistance, damage mitigation, or one of her buffs. So that's how you want to start things out. Now, I did put what I think is going to be one of the more practical options for your second turn, but there is an alternative. So what I have represented here is to use her Bolting Strike chaining move first, quick shock blade +2, and then do a quick Final Thunder, then a quick shock blade +2, then a quick Final Thunder, and then a quick shock blade 2. You can rearrange some of these skills. You can put 2 quick shock blades at the start and then a Final Thunder, shock blade, Final Thunder. You can also do 5 quick Final Thunders if you're able to chain separately and then have Sakura finish it, or if you're just looking to get her quick Final Thunder stacks up quickly. So there is some malleability to that, and of course if you're somebody who's like, yeah, Mars 100%, I can finish 2 quick Final Thunders on a single quick shock blade, then yeah, of course you want to do 1 chain with 2 finishes, and then 1 chain and a last third finish. But like I said, I've never ever been able to do that, and I've tried many times. So if you can do that, whether it's, you know, through secret magics or whatever, then cool, I'm happy for you, go with that. Now turns 3 and turns 4, as well as turn 5, until your cooldown skill is back up, is really simple. You do just want to be doing chains with the self-finishing quick Final Thunders. It is honestly a very simple rotation, there's not much to it, and it does ramp up pretty significantly over time, and as you saw against Chaotic Darkness, it does a pretty substantial amount of damage. So that pretty much covers the basics of her rotation. You can choose to use her other elemental chaining abilities if you wish to, but ultimately this is what's going to get you the best damage. And if a fight doesn't favor thunder damage, I probably wouldn't recommend Sakura for them. Which kind of leads me to the next section of this video, which is to kind of talk about whether or not CG Sakura is worth it for you to invest in. A lot of people have asked, oh, well, is Sakura as good as Circe, or how does she compare against future mages? Right now, she feels quite strong. I can complete Chaotic Darkness in a similar number of turns with CG Sakura than I can with Circe. They are very comparable in their damage output, which is really awesome. I think Sakura definitely fills a niche that Circe does not, in that Sakura can cover thunder elemental damage exceptionally well, and Circe cannot do it at all. Granted, Circe can cover 4 elements of her own in equal proficiency, so definitely some trade-offs there. Circe is also going to perform better in short fights. She is pretty much at her maximum potential by turn 3, by the time that she's applied her imperils and she's quad casting. So in that regard, I think Circe is definitely better, especially, you know, considering that she has the other elemental options. But if you're in a protracted fight that's going to last longer, or you're using support chainers, CG Sakura is somebody who can definitely dish out a really substantial amount of damage. So in my opinion, it comes down to personal preference. We haven't really had too many fights that will shut you down for using thunder elemental damage, and that may change in the future. I'm not too familiar with future resistances or immunities. So in my opinion, I think Sakura is a safe bet if you're looking for a mage. Of course, we have other mages coming down the line that are going to be stronger, but you know, that's the nature of a gacha game. Yeah, Sakura may be one of the best ones now, but she won't be the best one forever, and that goes for all damage units. So it's kind of up to you if she's worth the investment. I've had a ton of fun with her. I think she's a great unit, and I've been able to produce some pretty pleasing results using CG Sakura. So that about covers it for the newly awakened CG Sakura complete guide. Let me know what you think of this unit down in the comments below, and I'll see everybody in the next video.
Calling out